Hey Salvador, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Sorry about that earlier class, man. Were you
Uh,
able to reconnect ever? I think it was a bad connection problem, I think.
well, I have tried them 2 times and I can do it, so I I don't try it again.
Yeah, I think there were actually the other students were also having a lot of trouble. I was getting kicked out of Google Hangouts also, so I
Oh,
had to.
you can reconnect again?
Well, I was able to reconnect, yeah, but it took me some time. I think 5 or 10 minutes of that class was just us getting kicked out, coming back, getting kicked out, coming back. So it was a little bit of a difficult situation with that class, but hopefully it gets better now. Thanks for
Okay,
coming again. I apologize for that.
don't worry.
Uh-huh. Good. So what time is it in Honduras again, Salvador? I forgot
10,
my timing.
10, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, so just 2 hours ahead of us. Okay. Still Central Time then. Same time as my city. Um, Interesting.
You are in the
And
trip, right?
I'm on a trip, yeah. So I'm in California for a few weeks, maybe until next month, until December.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, the weather in my city, in my hometown, is getting very bad. It's getting very cold. I think it will snow tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow. So I left at the perfect time. It was going to be very difficult if I was trying to drive in the snow, it would be impossible to cross the country in snow like that, you know. So um, thankfully, I was able to come here earlier as opposed to now. But yeah, is the weather down there, is it getting cooler a little bit because it's November now, or is it always hot?
No, it's getting a little cooler,
Uh,
but you know, 23, 24, 25, and
that's not that cold. That's pretty warm.
no,
23
but
Celsius.
usually here, always temperature is 31, 33.
Uh,
We are accustomed to that. So when we are reaching 20s, 25, 21, trust me, we feel cold.
wow, that's amazing. I think it's the same way in many other countries that are near the equator, that are in the kind of tropical area. Uh, my parents, for example, they had never seen snow before they came to the US. So the first time they saw snow, they were so surprised. At the same time, they were kind of afraid. They didn't know how to drive in the snow. They didn't know how to clean the snow. My dad saw other people using, the shovels.
Yes.
So he also decided to buy a shovel. I mean, he was just watching what other people were doing. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago. So it's it was a new experience for them. Have you seen snow personally, Salvador?
No, 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 yeah.
You haven't yet. You're not missing a lot. You're not missing a lot. Snow is nice, but I have seen more snow in my life than I think I want to. Yeah,
The
it's
picture
good.
that you have in your profile, where is it?
I'm on a beach in the Caribbean. I was in Grenada, a small country named
Grenada.
Grenada. Yeah, so that was probably the most tropical place I've been to in my life. And extremely beautiful island, blue water. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah. Hey, Anatoly, how's it going, man?
Hello, hello. I'm fine, thank you. I thought also about changing my profile picture in Google Plus.
Are you a musician, Anatoly, or a
Uh,
singer? Is this picture supposed to
no,
be?
no,
Uh,
no. It is a picture from Second Life. It is a virtual world which I used before for studying English. Uh,
uh-huh.
and it is a photo picture from that word.
Oh, that makes sense.
Avatar. Avatar.
I think you told me that once, Anatoly, and I forgot. I remember you telling me about this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this avatar. That's awesome. Uh, how's life in Russia, Anatoly?
Oh, today is a warm day for that season in Russia, in Moscow, where I live. Now +3.
+3 is warm, Salvador. See what he's saying? +3 is warm. And Salvador just said 21, 25 is cold. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. +3, I think in my city right now it's also +3 where I live, but I'm actually traveling. Here it's I think +9, +10 because it's still early morning, so it's a little bit warm or a little bit cooler than later in the day. So yeah,
Where are you right now?
I'm in California actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I decided to just drive across the country because I'm crazy. So it was fun, very fun. But I was so tired after I drove that many miles. And driving alone is not fun. You know, when you have somebody with you, you can speak to somebody. If you're falling asleep, they can wake you up, you know. But for me, I was having to drive alone was kind of crazy. I'll do it again.
But when you're traveling alone, you have time to think about a lot of.
I thought about a lot. Yeah, I thought about my life. I thought about my future. I thought about everything. Yeah, it really allows you to think. Yeah.
How old are you?
24. So yeah, 24 is not bad. I'm pretty old. I feel pretty old. I can think about life, right? It's never too old. You're never too old to think about life. Sometimes I think about like the little children when they think about things. To them, a disaster is if they don't get maybe their favorite chocolate cake in school, right? They go to school and everyone's getting food. They don't get their favorite food, and that is a disaster for a little kid, right? For us, the disaster is like not having a job, not having money, you know.
Definitely.
How quickly things change for us when we grow older, right? But it's funny. So, guys, actually, thanks for joining. We are about 9 minutes in, so I think you guys are both aware, maybe Anatoly, because I think you have been in multiple classes since yesterday, at least, or since 2 days ago. You know about the new system that Colingo is doing, right, where the numbers, we're not using numbers anymore, we're having levels for the classes. Right, Anatoly? So we have...
I saw numbers, but for my experience time when I joined to Colingo, I joined to every class without any distinguish, and I understood that difference mostly only in the first part of the class, when for low level teacher describes as more easy construction, grammar construction, but the second part is always similar because we are reading usual text from newspaper and vocabulary is similar. And I didn't notice any differences in the second part of the classes.
Yeah, interesting, Anatoly. That's great. What we are trying to do now is actually make these classes more different from each other, right? So we are trying, for example, to make it that this class, for example, this is using WH questions, the WA questions, right? So this class is technically an intermediate level class, right? An intermediate level, the focus now is going to be, we're going to be focusing on the grammar, and then also on the discussion, kind of equally, right? Equal amount of time to the grammar, equal amount of time to the discussion. So 20 minutes, or half an hour, whatever, right? In the advanced classes, the focus is going to be a lot on the discussion of the article and also the vocabulary from the article. So reading the article, we're going to go through any of the words that people don't understand, we want to really review, right? And the focus is not going to be so much on the grammar lessons and the examples and the constructions in the advanced classes. And in the beginning classes, the focus will be very much on the grammar and very little on the discussion of the article, right? So that is kind of what we are experimenting with, right? We started on Monday. The teachers are starting to change the classes to be like that. So my point for telling you guys this is you guys are both higher than intermediate for this class, so I am going to try to make the focus more on the discussion, right, and not so much on the grammar. But if you guys have any questions with the grammar, let me know, because we can always stop and answer questions and look at other things too. Don't feel that you have to save your questions or that you can't ask your questions. Always ask questions. Sounds good? Yeah.
Yes, yes. My question is maybe comment about I didn't meet here in Colingo students with exactly zero or beginner level. In my opinion, they all every students are intermediate level, plus minus a little, and
Yeah.
yes, and I can't understand who Kalinga is expecting to for beginners classes for 100.
Yeah, you know, I think it's getting the focus now is actually shifting. So I think we're hearing from a lot of you guys that, you know, a lot of us are intermediate, a lot of us have this English background. So we are shifting to making the classes maybe more intermediate, more advanced, but we still offer those low intermediate and high beginner simply because we do have some students that are in that category. But things are changing, guys. We will have our hope is that in a few weeks, you know, or in a few months, whatever the case may be, we will really try to have people go into the classes that are most appropriate for them, right?
And
beginners will have theirs, yeah.
And is it possible to attend any classes in the future, or Kalinga is going to restrict for different levels?
I am not sure about that, honestly, Anatoly. I need to talk to the other team members, but I don't know as of right now. I don't think they would make restrictions as of from what I've been hearing. But what we want is we want people to be in the classes that are most appropriate for them, right? So we don't want advanced students to be in beginner classes because that will take away from the beginner students, right? So I think the focus is going to be please, please, please try to join the classes in which you are the most comfortable, you know? And maybe it should also be challenging a little bit, right? You should learn something. If the class is something that you understand everything, it might not be the best class for you, you know? So to go that one level higher, to try, oh, okay, that was really hard, let me go back to the level I was at before, right? To kind of experiment, because we've noticed that when there's a mix of students, beginners, intermediate, and advanced, especially if there's a lot of beginners, then the advanced students know a lot, and the beginner students don't get the same experience that maybe the advanced students are getting. So I think that's the focus, yeah. But no, Anatoly, those are great comments.
Thank you.
Absolutely, no, you're welcome. Those are great comments. We always try to take these comments into consideration when we are talking about how to improve Colingo. So thank you very much. Let's get started, guys. So let's get started then with the the what questions, right? So you guys are well aware, right? When we have who, what, when, where, why, and how, right? These are the 6 words that we use a lot in English when we're making questions, right? Who we use when we are talking about people, right? And any of these words can be combined with the verb to be, right? So is, am, are, right? The verb to be. And that's in the present tense. In the past tense, we would have was or were, right? Any of these words can be combined with any of those forms of the verb to be. You know, who was your first grade teacher, right? And maybe you remember, who knows, right? Who was your first girlfriend, right? All these kinds of questions, right? What about with what, right? So who's always about people? What is always talking about an idea or something, some concept, right? Also, we use what a lot when we are discussing, for example, anything or anything or any interest, right? What is probably the most versatile, the most used of all of these different words, right? For example, what do you do? You know, what kind of music do you like? What is your favorite food? You know, whatever the case might be. Whatever the case might be, right? So we use what in whatever as well. Really very common. We use for interests. We use for things that we want to talk about, right? For when, exclusively about time, right? When was that party, When did you have that party, or when was that party? When are you going somewhere, right? When will the bus arrive, right? So with when, a lot of it is actually, we can also use the future tense, right? So will, right, going to, right? When is the bus going to arrive? When will the bus arrive? So everything about time. Where, once again, guys, is about place, right? Once again, where is my house? Hopefully you don't ask yourself that. Where is your house, right? You can ask people for directions. Where are the shopping malls in this city, right? Are all those different things, right? I don't know where I am, right? They don't always have to be questions. If you want to ask somebody, if you want to tell somebody that you don't know where you are, I don't know where I am. I'm lost. Could you please help me, right? All those examples. Why we use when we want to know the reason for something, right? When we need to know the reason, when we want to know an explanation for something, we use why, right? And it's very common also in English to use the verb to be in the present tense, right? Sure thing, Salvador. We use, for example, little kids ask a lot of why questions. We joke about little children, right? Why is the sky blue? Why is the earth flat? But crazy things like that little kids ask that we might not be able to answer, but they are very curious about everything around them, right? Last but not least, how, right? We use how when we are talking about feelings, when we are describing how to do something, when we're describing a process, when we're giving directions. So directions and feelings are the two most common for how, right? How do you feel, right? How are you, right? How do I travel? How do I drive from Vladivostok to Moscow, right? A very, very big trip, but how do I drive that distance, right? How do I go from one place to another? So those directions, as well as feelings. So any questions, guys, about these 6 types of words that we use in English to ask questions?
No.
Okay, Anatoly, good. I think this is an easier thing for you guys. And Salvador said he was going to be back. Oh, okay, Salvador, welcome back. Any questions?
No, any question?
All right, fantastic. So let me, guys, then ask you guys a quick question, and then we'll jump right into the article, right? So the question is, why have you decided to practice English here on Colingo? Why did you choose Colingo, right? So I'm asking a why question here. Who wants to go first? Salvador, do you mind going first?
Okay. I decided because I want to improve my English, and I think Colingo is a great place because you have a lot of conversation and it's very interactive, and I think that is what I need for improve my English.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, right? It's an interactive place. It allows you to practice your conversation. Fantastic. Great answer, Salvador. Anatoly, what about you? Why did you choose to study English on Colingo?
I like this way, I mean studying online, because it is very convenient, and also I could choose different platforms, tools for studying online, but I liked very much how to say ways which Kalinga provides the classes. I mean this construction, the first one grammar or pronunciation, the second one reading article or discussion in the middle. It is very not only useful but also interesting. Useful because repeating grammar, every parts of grammar for me is very useful because we don't use English as a native language, and our mind constructed that we tend to forget rules, and it needs repeat and repeat. And last one, read an article also very interesting. I keep it usual in my Google Docs account, and if I have time, I sometimes read it again. It is also new information, because when I am searching just broaden in internet, I can't find something different because so many resources. But if this action did a different person from other country with a different point of view from my point of view, it is always interesting, because he or she is able to find something which we didn't know before.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. I like it. Yes.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Anatoly. That was a great overview of what we do at Colingo, right? We have someone new. Zohrab, how's it going? Can you hear us? Zohrab, are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, how are you, Zohrab? How are you?
Thank you, fine.
Good, awesome, welcome. I think this is your first time in my class, Zohrab.
Yes, you are right. It is first time your class, but not first time in Colingo.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, welcome, Zohrab. I wanted to ask you, why are you using Colingo for your English learning?
Colingo, it is a very interesting communicate opportunity for us. It helps us to improve our speaking English and improve our English grammar skills and we meet very interesting person other places of world.
Mm-hmm. You can meet with so many people from all around the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Where are you from, Zohrab, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm from Armenia.
Armenia. Nice.
Do you know about our country?
I do. Are you from Yerevan or one of the other cities?
I'm from Yerevan.
Yerevan. Nice, nice, awesome. I have some Armenian friends actually.
It's pleasure for me that you know about our country.
Yeah, beautiful country, beautiful country.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I want to visit. I haven't visited yet, but I want to visit sometime one day maybe. So welcome, Zohrab. Great to have you.
Nice
so guys,
to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys, awesome. Let us take a look at this article then, Zohrab. So Zohrab and well, all of you guys, Anatoly and also Salvador, we're going to look at this article. And since the focus of our lesson today was asking these questions, I want us, after we finish the article, to also think about questions that we can ask in English, right? We want to be able to use who, what, when, where, why, and how to ask questions in an appropriate way, right? So let's start with that, guys. And remember, the focus on we are really going to focus a lot on the vocabulary. The vocabulary for these articles is very important, right? If you guys see a word that you don't understand, I want you to stop me. I will stop myself when I see words that are more advanced words or words that are very common English words, you know, colloquial, maybe native speaker words, right? So feel free to always stop me whenever you have any questions. So let's see. Today we are going to be learning about a lady. This is a very local newspaper. Okay, this is from Virginia. Virginia is a state in the U.S. and it's a local newspaper article about a lady who is trying her best to break the language and culture barrier that exists in her country, or in her city, I should say. What is a barrier, guys? If I say a language or culture barrier, what does that mean?
It is, for example, borders between two countries, border. And it could be, I remember Barrier Reef near Australia.
Yeah, fantastic, Anthony. That's great, right? The Great Barrier Reef is near Australia. A barrier is something that blocks something, right? So something that bars you from something, right? So it has this word bar in it, right? And that means to prevent you from going freely between two things. So if they have barriers at a border, right? There's police there, there's maybe a fence there, they have, they have security so that people cannot just go, they can't just cross the border without information or without some kind of inspection, right? So similarly, she is trying to break the language and culture barriers, right? Now, currently in her community, there are lots of barriers. I mean, people don't speak to each other because of different languages, because of different cultures. She wants to break that barrier. So she started a school to do that, right? So let's see what she did. Being bilingual has its benefits, like being more marketable when it comes to finding a job. Silvana Miller from Danville is using her multilingual skills to help anyone who wants to learn a new language. Miller started Sur Language and Culture School. They teach 5 different languages. Miller is also using her skills to help the city break language barriers. Born and raised in Uruguay, Miller has always been around different languages. Almost everyone that's from Uruguay knows Portuguese because of Brazil. I took 4 years of English back home, but I learned most of my English here in Danville, said Silvana Miller, president of Sur Language and Culture School. Any questions, guys, about this first part of the article?
No.
Makes sense? Okay. If there's any words you guys don't understand, let me know for sure, right? So this lady's from Uruguay. She's always been around different languages, right? On top of that, Miller knows Spanish, French, and Chinese and wants to spread her passion for language to folks in Danville, right? This is her city. In April, she opened Sur Language and Culture School. Miller has 5 certified teachers who help her out. We start with cards, and then we start with vocabulary and memorizing, and then we slowly start doing sentences, said Miller. She'll also be working with the city's Economic Development Office to help break language barriers with the many international companies moving to Danville. If we don't have someone that can help with interpretation, we can't communicate effectively with each other, said Jeremy Stratton, Director of Economic Development for the City of Danville. It's helpful when you've got someone there that can understand the culture and help you be more businesslike with them, right? Any questions, guys, about this middle part? What's going on in the city of Danville? This lady, Silvana, she knows 5 languages. She's hiring teachers to teach the languages. Any questions about that, guys?
I have one.
Yeah.
What about on top of that? I know that what it is, but I don't know how to translate that to Spanish.
On top of that, so on top of that is something like además.
Okay, got it.
Right? On top of that is in addition to, además, yeah. So it's another way of saying more, in addition to or also, right?
Okay.
Great, fantastic question, Salvador. Anything else, guys, about maybe this economic stuff? Did this all make sense?
I want to know multilingual skills. What does it mean?
Perfect, perfect. Great question, Zorab. Multilingual skills or multilingual skills means multilingual means more than one language, right? Multi means more than one, and lingual is just the same as language, right? So somebody who has multilingual skills has the ability to speak in more than one language, right? So yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. You're welcome. So now let's go back down to this, guys. Miller's team, so this lady Silvana, Miller's team also works with the Danville Parks and Recreation Department after school program. I'm sorry. She works with the Danville Parks and Recreation after school program. She said the best time to learn a language is when you were young, right? I think it's a good opportunity. They're not just learning a language, but they're learning the history behind the language, said Shanette Jenkins, out-of-school program director for Danville Parks and Recreation. Miller said it takes about 3 months to learn the basics of language. Her school caters to adults and children. What do you guys think caters means? Caters.
I don't know. Only can guess.
Yeah, you can guess, of course. Anatoly, go ahead, guess. What do you think?
Her school welcome to adults and children.
Perfect, perfect. That's exactly right. Welcomes or accepts. Caters is another way of saying welcomes or accepts, right? So exactly the right idea. So her school is open to anybody, right? Any of these different groups. So guys, any question about this article? What is Silvana Miller doing? What is her idea behind SUR Language Academy, Language and Culture School? They teach French, Spanish, English, Portuguese, and Chinese. So 5 international languages. All of them are spoken by millions and millions of people, right? Any questions about the article, guys? Let me go back to my face so you guys can see me here. But I think it's interesting. I think the fact, you know, a lot of schools in the United States, a lot of elementary schools for young children, they have Spanish and they have French, but we don't see Portuguese. Portuguese is not very common in the United States. Maybe in Uruguay, where this lady is from, it's popular because that country is between Brazil and Argentina. But what do you guys think of this idea? You know, Anatoly, let me start with you. Do you think this? Or I should say, why do you think she's doing this? And do you think it's a good idea to have a school like this in a small community?
Yes, I think it is a very good idea, and now in the time when most of people can use internet, and when process of globalization continues, it is could be very good to to look for the different cultures, and if you have opportunity to join and to participate in this project, if you have a time for it, it is very good for people who did it. It is good for their careers, and it is good for their culture, just for self-improving.
Exactly, just for self-improvement, right? Improvement and doing all those kinds of things, right? Where you are helping yourself become a better, a more knowledgeable person, right? When you learn a language, you learn so much about the culture of that language, or about the people who speak that language. So it's very important, right? Awesome, Anatoly. Thank you. Salvador, would you agree? Do you agree with Anatoly? Or why do you think it's important to have a school like this?
Yes, I think that is a great idea. Just not for her, it's also a great idea for the community, because I think for her it's a great idea because she can practice. You know, and you can know 3 or 4 languages, but you need always practice all of them. And for the community, because you are giving something to the people and making a better place to live. If you are you have a group, if you are prepared for a work or international work, you can be, or you can do it in a better way, and that's because I think that is a great idea.
Especially for a small community like this, Danville, Virginia. I have no idea where that is. You know, I mean, I grew up in a very, very small town. Me, myself, when I was younger, I grew up in a very small town. Just, it's like 80,000 people. 80,000 people is very small. So we had good schools. We had English, French, we had German also. Actually, they also taught German, and English, French, German, I think those three were it. And I chose Spanish. I'm sorry, English, Spanish, French, and German. I chose Spanish, and that's how I learned the language. And a lot of my friends learned French. Very few learned German. I think 2 or 3 kids took German. Not very popular. But Zohra, what do you think about this idea of starting a school, maybe in a small community, for children, for adults? Do you think this is a good idea?
In my opinion, it is good idea because when you know one more languages, it is give us more opportunity to know about other culture, other science, and everything about other countries. It is an opportunity to communicate other persons of other country, and I think it develop people's mind when you learn one more languages.
Mm-hmm. It helps to develop your mind because there's so much involved in learning a language, right, Zohrab? I mean, you need to learn the words, you need to memorize some vocabulary, the grammar, right? It's a big mental exercise for your brain, right? Your brain really needs to rethink many things, right? I think that's absolutely correct.
Yes, I agree with you.
Uh-huh.
It is also give us to thinking when you use other languages. That time you starting to thinking other culture, other manners. So it is more important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely, Zohrab. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your answer. Hamoud, hey, welcome to class, man.
Thank you.
Question for you, Hamoud. So today, the article we were looking at a lady who started a school for her community. They teach 5 languages: English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Chinese. So 4 of the 5 UN languages. The only UN language they're not teaching is Arabic, right? And also Portuguese. So what do you think about that? If there was a school in your community where somebody started a school for children, for older people, just for languages, do you think that's a good idea, or is that maybe not a good idea, Hamoud?
I think it depends on the person work. For example, I think I will waste my time to study French or any other language except English, because I will never use it in my life.
So as of right now, maybe the focus is, so your focus is more on the job opportunities, right, where you work, right? For some people, it could be for maybe their interest, right? Some people might be interested, hey, I want to, yeah. So there are other reasons, right? Are there any languages you are interested in besides English, Hamoud? Or is it just English?
Yes.
Okay, there was something wrong with your sound, Hamoud. I wasn't able to hear you. That's okay. We'll come back. We'll come back and we'll ask more questions. So for the other guys, I have a question for you guys too, right? When it comes to why does Silva, this lady, say, why do you think she says that it's easier to learn a language when you're younger? Does that, what could be the reason for that? Like, we hear even scientists or teachers or whatever, they say that young children learn languages much easier and much quicker than older people. What could be the reason for that? Anatoly, do you have an idea?
I think the reason is nature. As example, we know that children are able to communicate in different language much faster than it could be possible for adults in general, I mean. And in that time, if young person has a chance to study more and more, usually it is good for him or her. It is my opinion. And studying different languages, it is one of the most important things because after he or she did that step, he will be able to give his mind more widely open, if I can say.
Yeah, he will open his mind or widen his people. You can say widen your horizon. That's a very nice way of saying something in English, where you can widen your horizon, or you can broaden your mind. You know, you can make your mind more broad and learn more, right? You can widen your horizon, or somebody can broaden their mind, become more experienced, right, with a lot of these things. So I was going to also, Hamoud, I have the same question for you. Why do you think little kids and children and babies, why can they learn a new language so much easier, so much more easily than someone who's older?
Because they have a fresh mind, and they don't have a mother language to interact with another, with the new one.
Yeah. So for example, when we were all children, right? I mean, nobody taught us our native language, right? We heard our parents, we heard other people, and we started speaking, right? That's how babies, I think, learn. That's how young people learn. So
And
yeah, you have a fresh mind, right? Yeah.
They don't take care of grammar when they speak. They speak without nervous of they don't have a nervous of speaking.
Yeah.
In contrast to older students who usually learn language in a class, and they usually face nervous of speaking.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's very true. When you're older, you're nervous. You're, oh my God, what am I going to say? What are people going to say? Right? When you're little, you don't care. You say whatever you want. You know, maybe your parents will correct your mistake, or maybe people will just laugh, and you'll figure it out. I mean, when you get older, you'll speak better, right? So kids don't have all that stress that we have about being nervous. They don't care what other people think about them, right? Which is nice. I like that. I wish we could be more like that. Maybe older people. Great, Hamoud. Thank you for that response. Salvador, what about you? Do you agree with these guys, or do you have a different idea?
No, I agree. When you are younger, you are fearless to make a mistake, and that is a huge advantage that they have compared with us. And also, I think that when you are young, you are learning not just the language, you are learning about everything, and that's the reason because I think it's more easier to learn a new language because your mind is already open, and then you are absorbing knowledge. And what about have a new language that the mind doesn't know? But when you have certain age, you always think and actual according to what have you learned.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there's a phrase in English, or we use this phrase sometimes, that you soak up something like a sponge, right? So we say this in English. If somebody if somebody can really learn something very well, they can soak up information like a sponge, right? Just like a sponge, if you're in the bathroom and you use a sponge to clean your bathroom, right? The sponge can easily pick up all the water, right? It can hold so much water. So the same way, a child's mind is like a sponge. Anything you say around them, they will learn, they will pick it up, right? Which is why parents are very afraid if they are watching bad movies or, you know, if they're hearing bad words, right? Kids, where do kids learn bad words? From their parents most of the time, right? I think so. Or maybe older people around them that say bad words, the kids just pick that stuff up, right? Soak it up like a sponge, you know. Pretty soon, I mean, you know, they're like parrots, they're like birds, they repeat whatever they hear, you know. They repeat the good words, the bad words, they have no filter, right? They say whatever they want to say. So, absolutely, that's a great point, Salvador. Zohra, would you say the same thing? I mean, when it comes to children?
In my opinion, at first I want to say that I agree with our friend because and I want to say my opinion for sorry, she is my baby.
I can tell, no problem. That's fine. Is she learning? Is she too young to speak?
She is my daughter.
Is she? How old is she?
10 months.
10 months. Okay. So too young to speak, right? She cannot speak yet. Maybe in a few months when they are what? When do kids start to speak, guys? I actually don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it will be 1 years later. 1 years and 1.5 years later.
Fantastic. So when they're around maybe two years old, 2.5 years old, yeah. I forgot when I learned how to speak.
They can speak fluently when they become 2 years old.
2 years old. Absolutely.
I want to say that young people, for example, children, speak other languages more easier than elder. For some causes. At first, they have. I agree with our friend, fresh mind, and elder people have a problem. They have not time that use and improve their English, their language skills. It is very important problem with for us and children. They are play at the different games. That time this communication will be more easier than for elder.
Absolutely, right? They have the time which old people don't have, right? And they are also engaging more in those social activities, I think, right? Have you guys ever seen two babies talk to each other? It's really funny because they don't know what they're saying, or we don't know what they're saying, but they are smiling, they're laughing at each other, they're, you know, playing with each other, but they're talking to each other, and it's not a normal language. It's, you know, gaga goo goo, whatever they say, right? In English we say gaga goo goo for what babies speak, right? But they have their own language. They have their own way of communication. They laugh, they cry, they have their own methods. But then when they get older, a little bit older, you know, 2 years older, whatever, that's when they start to speak. So it's fascinating. And a lot of scientists are actually trying to figure out what is the secret in the brain of a young child that allows them to pick up languages very, very quickly. For me, I think it's actually conversation. I think conversation is very, very key to picking up a language. Even when I was learning some languages, when I was older, when I was like a teenager, I learned the languages by speaking to other people. It's the best way. You know, you hear the normal conversation, you participate in the conversation, and soon you get a lot more fluency. You know, you gain a lot more fluency. You get more fluent. Last question for you guys. This is more of a fun question. If there was one language that you could learn like that, like tomorrow morning, you go to sleep tonight, tomorrow morning, you're fluent in that language, native speaker status in that language, what language would it be? I'm just curious to hear. Maybe it's going to be English for some of you guys, right? But let's be more creative. If it's English, then give me the second one as well, right? We're on Colingo, so if it's English, then give me the second language that you want to be very fluent in. Anatoly, let's start with you, if you don't mind.
Yes. Yes, the first one English, because it is common. English, it is a language of international communication. And the second one, I'd choose German. I studied it in school, but now I almost completely forgot this language, and it could be great if I could renew my knowledge.
Wunderbar. Wunderbar. that's the one thing I know. I don't even know. I can't even pronounce it, but it's nice. German's a nice language, right? A lot of scientists use German, actually. I think after English and maybe Chinese now, German has the most scientific articles of any language, because they have a lot of science and, you know, engineering books and mathematical books and things like that are in German, actually. So it's a great language. When did you learn this language earlier, Anatoly? Was it high school? Was it college?
And it was in the first school. We have a different system of education. It was the first school before high school, before university.
Oh, so middle school maybe, when you were maybe 10, 11, 12 years old?
I studied in that school from age 7 to plus 10 years.
Oh, so 7 through 17. Wow, okay. Big amount of time, 10 years. Yeah, that's great. German's a great language. Humud, what would be your special language that you could learn just like this tomorrow morning when you wake up?
Yeah, Urdu.
Urdu.
Yes.
I speak Urdu. That's interesting. Very good. Why Urdu? Out of all, Urdu, guys, is the language of a country named Pakistan, right? It's the main language in Pakistan. So why Urdu, Humud? That's a great language.
Because we have many workers here in Saudi Arabia, so I can benefit from this language.
Yeah, you have a lot. There are a lot of Pakistani people in Saudi Arabia who are working.
And Indian, yes.
And Indians, yeah. Urdu and Hindi are actually both very similar. When you speak them, the languages are very similar, but the writing is completely different. So Urdu and Hindi. Hindi is the language of India, and Urdu is the language of Pakistan. So you have interesting situation there. Great. I didn't think you would say that one, Humud. Yeah.
But Indian and Pakistanis both speak English.
They do, yeah, they do, because my parents are from Bangladesh. Same situation, because we were all colonized by the British, and the British imposed English on us, so we all learned English. We have to learn English. There's no other option. And India has, I don't know what, 8,000 different languages in India, I think. 25 official languages, and I think 8,000 regional languages. 8,000 conversational types of 25 major languages. If you look at the Indian money, the Indian bill, on the back it says the name of that bill, the rupee. Rupee is what we say, like instead of dollar we say rupee. It says that rupee in 25 languages, like 1 rupee, yek rupee, in 15 different or 25 different languages. So it's crazy. English is the common language for all of us, for all the Indians and the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis in the world. So that's awesome. Urdu, fantastic. Great, great. Salvador, what about you? What would be your dream language?
Well, to be honest, English it isn't the first one, and I would like to speak Italian, German, or French, or Portuguese too, and then English. I like English, but that's my favorite second language.
Out of French, Italian, and Portuguese and German, which one is your first?
Italian.
Italian, awesome. How come? Why Italian, if you don't mind me asking?
I love the culture and the music and also when I can watch movies like The Godfather and they speak in Italian, for me sounds really really good.
And you know, Italian is so similar to Spanish. I think it'll be very easy for you.
I heard that before, and also Portuguese.
Yeah, Portuguese is very similar to Spanish also.
It's similar. I think it's, we know, Latin language, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese.
Exactly, Romance languages. Yeah, yeah. In English, we also call them the Romance languages. They're all from Roman, you know, from Latin and Roman based. So Romance languages are English, or English is not a Romance language. Spanish, Italian, French, Romanian, Portuguese. These are all Romance languages from that part of the world. Yeah, Latin based. English is more Germanic. English is very close to German. Actually, the Old English is very close to German. Now English is a mix of hundreds of languages probably, and also
like
a lot of
Spanglish.
Spanglish, yeah, Spanglish. And there's a lot of French in English too, actually. A lot of French and a lot of German. So great, awesome, Salvador. Italian, Urdu, and we have Anatoly. Your second language was German. So we have German,
yes.
German, Urdu, and so far Italian. What about you, Zohrab? Last but not least, what's your dream language?
Hello?
Yeah, what's your dream language, Zohrab? Yeah?
I think for me important languages is at first Russian, then English, and other Germany. But I want to say, for me, more important language, it is my native language. It is Armenian. I want to say that our languages is very old languages and very difficult, but very nice and universal languages. But this time in the world you must know one more languages. That is why I try to learn English, Russian, Germany, and other languages.
Why Russian in particular, Zohrab? I'm curious by Russian. Is it because Russia is close to Armenia? Maybe business relationships?
Yes. But have some cause, because if you know Armenian is part of UCCC, that is why that time Russian it is more user languages in our country, not only in our country. There are 15 republic,
15 Soviet republics,
and a lot of spheres use Russia. That is why Russia more important in our life. And your said that Russia also our neighbor country.
Absolutely. Russian used to be a very popular language, guys, in the United States during the Cold War, because everyone was learning Russian because in case America and Russia started to fight, we needed people to speak Russian. You know, that was the idea.
But I want to say that today more popular languages starting become, in my opinion, it is Chinese.
Yeah. I'm surprised none of you guys said Chinese. My dream language would be Chinese. Yeah, because China is just huge, right? It's growing like crazy. Yeah. Chinese is such a difficult language, right? So it's something that I think if I could, you know, if I could dream a dream and become native speaker in Chinese, wow, that would be enormous amount of opportunities, right? Right now in the United States, the most popular language after Spanish and the other ones is actually Arabic. Arabic is now getting very popular because the United States is fighting all of these countries in the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, whatever. I mean, all these countries speak Arabic. So kind of like the Cold War mentality again now in the 21st century. So before it was Russian. If you wanted to work for the CIA, the FBI, you speak Russian. That's great, right? Now, if you speak Arabic or Urdu or these other, you know, Asian languages, you know, languages from the Middle East, from South Asia, it's big. It's very big now. People are loving to learn Arabic. You know, it's very popular. And Arabic is a very difficult language. Russian is also a very difficult language, I think. Anatoly, right?
Yes, I think yes.
Yeah, I think so too. From what I've heard, it's not an easy language. The easiest language on earth, I think, for me was, well, actually not the easiest, but I think in comparison, I really enjoyed Spanish. Spanish was a great language. Is a great language, but learning it, I think, was very understandable language to learn. Salvador, I think, do you agree with me?
I agree. How often you practice Spanish?
Más o menos cada día, every once in a while, yeah. Every day, every once in a while, yeah.
So do you have friends?
I have lots of friends. And in the United States, there are Spanish speakers everywhere. Everywhere.
Especially if you are in Miami or California.
Oh, maybe. Right now. Yesterday, Salvador, I swear to God, I was in a part of my city, San Jose. I was in San Jose, and we were walking down a street, and there were 6 or 7 Mexican restaurants on the same street. You know, La Taqueria, this, Guadalajara, this, that, everything. I mean, every corner, right? El Mercado del Pueblo Mexicano, right? It's the name of the store is the Market of the Mexican People. You know, I mean, and the people everywhere walking around, people were just, everyone speaking Spanish. It's such a big cultural area of this country, this part of this country. If we have Vietnamese people, a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Japanese people, a lot of Spanish speakers, a lot of Indian people. I mean, you can look like anything and say you're from California. You know, nobody's gonna ask you, really, you're from California? No, everybody is from here. You know, so it's a great place, guys. Lots of Armenians here also, Zorab, in Las Vegas, in Nevada, also in California. Lots of Armenians in Riverside, California. Maybe you've heard about this city, Zorab. But great, it's a great place. California has a lot of everything. So anyway, guys, going back to just review very quickly, right? So we saw who, what, when, where, why, and how. These 6 words we use a lot when we ask questions in English. Did we have any questions, guys, about the article, about the vocabulary, about these grammar points? Anything you guys wanted to ask or had a question about?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, guys. Well, it was a great class. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. Later tonight, I have 2 other classes. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this one. And we will speak again soon then, guys.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
De nada, Salvador. All right, well, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you guys, Anatoly. Take care, Zorab. Bye-bye.
+3.
+3 is warm, Salvador. See what he's saying? +3 is warm. And Salvador just said 21, 25 is cold. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. +3, I think in my city right now it's also +3 where I live, but I'm actually traveling. Here it's I think +9, +10, because it's still early morning, so it's a little bit warm or a little bit cooler than later in the day. So yeah.
Where are you right now?
I'm in California actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I decided to just drive across the country because I'm crazy. So it was fun, very fun. But I was so tired after I drove that many miles. And driving alone is not fun. You know, when you have somebody with you, you can speak to somebody. If you're falling asleep, they can wake you up, you know. But for me, I was having to drive alone was kind of crazy. I'll do it again.
But when you're traveling alone, you have time to think about a lot of.
I thought about a lot. Yeah, I thought about my life. I thought about my future. I thought about everything. Yeah, it really allows you to think. Yeah.
How old are you?
24. So yeah, 24 is not bad. I'm pretty old. I feel pretty old. I can think about life, right? It's never too old. You're never too old to think about life. Sometimes I think about like the little children when they think about things. To them, a disaster is if they don't get maybe their favorite chocolate cake in school, right? They go to school and everyone's getting food. They don't get their favorite food, and that is a disaster for a little kid, right? For us, the disaster is like not having a job, not having money.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, so just 2 hours ahead of us. Okay, still Central Time then. Same time as my city. Interesting.
You are in a trip, right?
I'm on a trip, yeah. So I'm in California for a few weeks, maybe until next month, until December. Yeah, the weather in my city, in my hometown, is getting very bad. It's getting very cold. I think it will snow tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow. So I left at the perfect time. It was going to be very difficult if I was trying to drive in the snow. It would be impossible to cross the country in snow like that, you know. So thankfully I was able to come here earlier as opposed to now. But yeah, is the weather down there, is it getting cooler a little bit because it's November now, or is it always hot?
No, it's getting a little cooler, but you know, 23, 24, 25, and
that's not that cold. That's pretty warm. 23 Celsius.
Usually in here, always temperature is 31, 33. We are accustomed to that. So when we are reaching 20s, 25, 21, trust me, we feel cold.
Wow, that's amazing. I think it's the same way in many other countries that are near the equator, that are in the kind of tropical area. My parents, for example, they had never seen snow before they came to the US. So the first time they saw snow, they were so surprised. At the same time, hey Salvador, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Sorry about that earlier class, man. Were you able to reconnect ever? I think it was a bad connection problem, I think.
Well, I have tried them 2 times and I can do it, so I I don't try it again.
Yeah, I think there were actually the other students were also having a lot of trouble. I was getting kicked out of Google Hangouts also, so I
Oh,
had to.
you can reconnect again?
Well, I was able to reconnect, yeah, but it took me some time. I think 5 or 10 minutes of that class was just us getting kicked out, coming back, getting kicked out, coming back. So it was a little bit of a difficult situation with that class, but hopefully it gets better now. Thanks for coming again. I apologize for that.
Don't worry.
Good. So what time is it in Honduras again, Salvador? I forgot my time. You know,
Definitely.
how quickly things change for us when we grow older, right? But it's funny. So guys, actually, thanks for joining. We are about 9 minutes in, so I think you guys are both aware, maybe Anatoly, because I think you have been in multiple classes since yesterday, at least, or since 2 days ago. You know about the new system that Colingo is doing, right, where the numbers, we're not using numbers anymore, we're having levels for the classes. Right, Anatoly? So we have...
I saw numbers, but for my experience time when I joined to Colingo, I joined to every class without any distinguish, and I understood that difference mostly only in the first part of the class, when for low level teacher describes as more easy construction, grammar construction, but the second part is always similar, because we are reading usual text from newspaper, and vocabulary is similar. And I didn't notice any differences in the second part of the classes.
Yeah, interesting, Anatoly. That's great. What we are trying to do now is actually make these classes more different from each other, right? So we are trying, for example, to make it that this class, for example, this is using WH questions, the WA questions, right? So this class is technically an intermediate level class, right? An intermediate level, the focus now is going to be, we're going to be focusing on the grammar, and then also on the discussion, kind of equally, right? Equal amount of time to the grammar, equal amount of time to the discussion. So 20 minutes, or half an hour. They were kind of afraid. They didn't know how to drive in the snow. They didn't know how to clean the snow. My dad saw other people using, the shovels. So he also decided to buy a shovel. I mean, he was just watching what other people were doing. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago. So it's very, very, it was a new experience for them. Have you seen snow personally, Salvador?
No, not yet.
You haven't yet. You're not missing a lot. You're not missing a lot. Snow is nice, but I have seen more snow in my life than I think I want to. Yeah.
The picture that you have in your profile, where is it?
That is, I'm on a beach in the Caribbean. I was in Grenada, a small country named Grenada. Yeah, so that was probably the most tropical place I've been to in my life. And extremely beautiful island, the blue water. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, Anatoly, how's it going, man?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. I thought also about changing my profile picture in Google+.
Are you a musician, Anatoly? Or a singer? What's this? Is this picture supposed to be?
No. It is a picture from Second Life. It is a virtual world, which I used before for studying English. And it is a photo picture from that world.
Oh, that makes sense.
Avatar.
I think you told me that once, Anatoly, and I forgot. I remember you telling me about this.
Yes.
Yeah, this avatar. That's awesome. How's life in Russia, Anatoly?
Oh, today is a warm day for that season in Russia, in Moscow, where I live. And now